Welcome to First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis, the birthplace of congregational humanism. We carry on that tradition of free thought today, dedicated to promoting a free search for truth, meaning, and justice. Our web address is firstunitarian.org. I'm David Breeden, Senior Minister. Welcome. Welcome to First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis on Sunday, June 5, 2022. I'm David Breeden, the Senior Minister here, and I'm joined today by a very talented group of musicians. Thanks for coming by today. It's going to be good. If everyone would look to your left and your right and say, "I'm glad you're here today."
I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. Yeah, all right. All right, and we do want to also welcome our online audience out there, and welcome as well. So, First Unitarian Society is a member congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations. We're an intentionally and radically inclusive congregational humanist community dedicated to fostering a free search for knowledge, meaning, and the striving for justice. We serve one another, the Twin Cities, and beyond. This congregation has practiced and defined and redefined congregational humanism since 1916. As the words of the first Humanist Manifesto say, we strive for a shared life in a shared world. Our theme for the month of June is celebrating blessings, and today we want to take the time to recognize our graduating seniors and to celebrate our many volunteers here in our congregation. Stuff coming up, and we do have live stuff coming up now. How about that? We had our first traffic jam of room rentals this morning when we got confused for the first time since March of 2020. So how about that? People are coming back, and that's great. Tuesday, June 14th at 6:30 p.m. here at FUS, Bob's Choice, an LGBTQ plus activist death with dignity journey. It will also be live streamed on our FUS/live. Join us for Bob's Choice. It's an independent documentary featuring Bob Fuller, an activist and founding member of the Seattle Men's Chorus with terminal cancer, who opted to use Washington State's Death with Dignity law. We'll have a panel with an advocate, Carrie Framstead, it'll be me, and also Minnesota State Senator Scott Dibble, who will be talking about the legislation that has been kind of stuck at our legislature for some time now. So, not good, but we are continuing working on it, and we want to get you reminded about what we'll be doing. Summer Solstice Casting Workshop. How about that? After one of our rooms is filled today with the great acting skills that you will bring to it. Our seasonal celebrations team wants you to become one of the direction keepers and the mummers and volunteers in general. Last time we didn't have a fire keeper either. We may want that, but that's not acting. I volunteer, but they wouldn't let me. They don't want me to play with fire, clearly. And that's probably a wise choice. But go on down the hallway, and we will be very happy to see you. That's in the library? Is it in the library? Dietrich Room. Okay, see, we've been moving on this stuff all around. Also, a special guest for Zoom Coffee Hour today will be online with our Zoom Coffee Hour folks, and that is FUS member and Grand Rapids resident Bernadine Joslin. She will be presenting on race and identity in the West's response to Ukrainian refugees, a humanist perspective from the Ukrainian-Polish border. So if you're in the building today, you can go down to the Skyline Room, and we will get on Zoom so that everybody can join in with our online coffee hour. If you're in the building, though, you can also head on downstairs where we will have some refreshments today. Is the Active Voices group doing anything down there today? No? Well, come on up and tell us what you are doing. Yeah.
Good morning. I'm Jenna Hutchinson, a longtime member here. First Unitarian Society has a long history of congregational engagement in working for marriage equality, reproductive rights, civil and voting rights, and taking on white supremacy. The results of the upcoming 2022 midterm elections will have a significant impact on all of these issues. So it's important that we all get involved as we can and with our personal strengths in getting people across the country engaged and to the polls, both for primaries and the November election. We have joined the national UU the Vote efforts, and our small group wrote a grant proposal, and we've been awarded money from the Wilson Fund from the FUS Foundation to support our project, primarily covering the costs of postage. One significant part of the project is writing postcards and letters to encourage people to get to the polls in critical states. This is coordinated by efforts of Vote Forward, the Progressive Turnout Project, and the Center for Common Ground. Today, after the service, there is the opportunity to spend some time writing postcards for the primary election in Florida. We'll be in the library down the hall on this floor. And we'll also be hosting postcard and letter writing projects several times a month here at FUS, either before or after the service. I'm hosting a posting letter writing event at my home tomorrow night, and if those of you who are present want to come, you're more than welcome. And I plan to do that on a monthly basis. Becca Brackett and Sue Tincher are co-hosting monthly letter writing events in North Minneapolis. Consider joining us at one of these events, as it feels good to be engaged in community with like-minded people. UU the Vote encourage us to get involved in door knocking, phone calling or texting voters, registering voters, and serving as election judges or poll watchers. We encourage you to have conversations with candidates to clarify their support of issues such as abortion, LGBTQ+ issues, environmental justice, and to make financial contributions to candidates who support your values. If you want to get involved from your home, there is additional information in the Friday FUS email regarding how to get connected with Vote Forward, the Center for Common Ground, and the Progressive Turnout Project, so you can do letter and postcard writing or phone calling from home. It's really easy to do. For the 2020 election, I personally wrote 600 postcards that got mailed out, and I spent several hours doing phone calling with easy-to-follow scripts and phone numbers on my computer screen. The UUA is awarding Good Trouble designation to congregations who meet metrics on congregation involvement in this effort. So to help FUS get this designation, please keep track of your efforts. How many letters did you write? How many phone calls did you make? How many doors did you knock on? How many people did you register to vote? So if you have any questions, please contact Rev Kelly, Anita Martinez, Erica Bovey, or myself. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much, everybody. Please join in, and we do give you volunteer opportunities. So take it away. Let's hear some good music. Una alma, thank you. Wow. If you will join me, please. Nope. I've got to light our chalice first. Thank you, Paul, for being on top of that. We light our chalice today, remembering the First Unitarian Society aspiration, number 2, to pursue wisdom through reason, science, art, and the stories of civilizations. Thanks a lot, Paul. And Cindy, take it away.
And please stand as you're willing and able. We're going to be singing number 305 in the Gray Songbook, De Coloris.
For just a minute. Yeah, thanks so much for doing that. Yes, it's not stretching your musical talent too far, I realize, but thanks for joining, getting us through there. If you will join me in our congregational covenant. Love is the spirit of this place, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Please be seated. On Sundays when we gather, we pause a few moments to reflect on the joys and sorrows and milestones of the human experience. As a congregational community, we do this to stay in touch with our own humanity, the humanity of all of our circle, the value of a moment of stillness, and we do this so that none of us go through joy or sorrows alone. As congregational humanists, we are here for each other. A joy today, FUS member Catherine Abbott is celebrating her 101st birthday. That was yesterday. How about that? Yeah, we don't do birthdays too often, but when you get in triple digits, right, we can do that differently. Well, now let's take a few moments to reflect on our world and for those who help with the suffering and those who work for justice.
When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love.
Good morning. I'm Allison Wyeth, Director of Religious Education, and today is one of my most favorite days of the whole program year. Today is our bridging ceremony, and it is a day when we mark the transition of some of our young ones from an ending of their time with us in formal religious education and a beginning of a time of them being with us or maybe some other place as adult congregants. So in preparing for this day, I spent some time reflecting on what this ritual of bridging is all about. This ceremony happens when our youth graduate high school, and it could be seen as a simple recognition of that accomplishment. Yet as important as that recognition is, and it's really, really important, we're doing more than that here today. In fact, we're really doing 3 additional things. We are welcoming Gwen Bubser and Lainey Service into the community of people at FUS who are seeking truth and meaning. We're acknowledging that they are fully a part of this beloved community, that they are deserving of our respect and support as adults engaged in the work of finding meaning in the world through love and reason. We're also acknowledging the challenge of crossing this particular bridge and navigating the new territory of adulthood. The time of young adulthood is one of wide open spaces. We recognize that a person entering those spaces has much to contend with, and we wish them peace and goodwill as they find their way in the world. And we as a congregation are making a commitment to supporting and encouraging these young adults as they find their new way into the life of this place, or their way into an altogether new place. We as a congregation promise to seek you out as you are available and involve you in new and exciting ways of making our community strong together. And now, as is our tradition at FUS, we will welcome up the parents of the 2 young adults who are bridging today. And first, I'd like to bring up Lily and Chris Bubser.
Gwen, we don't get to say often enough what an amazing person you are. Some of the things we admire most about you: your ability to make good choices for friends, and the way you show respect and care for the people you work with. Not only have you demonstrated leadership and athletic talent on several sports teams, but you also bring cookies. Your independent entrepreneurial spirit. When you set your mind to something, you give your full effort to it and make sure it's of the utmost quality. Every item you posted and sold in your Etsy shop was made and packaged with the utmost care, and I think you got as much joy from making and sending the products as your customers got from getting them.
Your honesty and integrity, you always have been willing to stand up for what is right and to do the right thing no matter what. Part of that probably comes from our teachings here at FUS through the RE program. I remember Jan Dever passing out buttons with a little giraffe on them saying, "Stick your neck out." Whether or not you know it, your friends look up to you as an example for so many things. Well, we are going to miss you next year, and yes, that applies to Theo too. We love you, and we can't wait to see what you do in the next chapters of your life.
And now we'll hear from Jen Service about her daughter Lainey.
Morning. Lainey, looking at you now, I can still see you at 3 years old, singing, dancing, and generally rocking out hard to your favorite house band, the Eclectics, during a seasonal celebration sing-along. Watching you filled me with love and admiration, and I'm happy to be able to say that I see that same passion and reckless abandon in the young adult that you've become. I know that the world can be a daunting place, especially for a person with a strongly developed sense of justice. It can also be a joyful place, though, especially for a person who can find wonder in a patch of wild mushrooms growing on the side of a tree, and who gobbles at flocks of wild turkeys as she passes to see if they'll respond. And it can be a fascinating place, especially for someone who loves to learn and exchange information with everyone from fellow anime fans to zoo volunteers. It can also be a beautiful place, especially for someone who is already a skilled artist and continues to develop that prodigious talent. I am excited and proud to be part of your journey to finding your tribe and your place in the world. I look forward to supporting your passions for nature, animals, drawing, travel, and all the new passions you develop as you grow. Congratulations.
Thank you for sharing those lovely thoughts with us all, but most especially for sharing them with your kids. Would Gwen and Lainey please join me as you're willing and able? We traditionally mark this rite of passage with a gift from the congregation to these young folks. We have for each of them a silver keychain marked with a flaming chalice, holding a single uncut key in the shape of a home. We want you to carry with you always the knowledge that this place, these people, this community, will always be a home for you. No matter where you travel or settle, FUS will always be the place you came from and the place you can come home to. As a bridging gift, we have for each of you a keychain and key. We hope your keychain will remind you to seek out those who share your humanist UU values and look for connection in the world in your times of joy and sorrow. The uncut key has so many possible futures, and so do you. Let the smooth, uncut nature of this key remind you of all the possible unwritten futures you're embarking on and all the choices you're making. And when you carry them together, we hope you use them as a touchstone to remember that while you're moving into the wider world, we are here supporting you. That FUS is your home and a place you can always be welcome. May you carry these gifts and all the other gifts we have worked to give you as you bring your light into the world. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Our FUS community is made of many, many moving parts, and it takes all of us to keep this place running and vibrant. Paid staff don't keep this place going. It's the volunteers here who do. Tasks big and small get done here because you, all of you, step up, you make connections with each other and with the paid staff and with the community beyond these walls. Unitarian theologian James Luther Adams described our congregations as voluntary associations, by which he meant those we choose rather than those we are born into. By continuing to choose to be here, we volunteer our time, talent, and treasure to keep FUS as a beacon of humanist truth and hope. Today, we want to recognize especially the time and talent of our volunteers.
I'd like to take a little bit of time this morning to thank our dedicated, caring religious education volunteers. These are folks who know deep in their bones the importance of supporting others to make the most of a future that we may not experience with them. These are folks who know what it is to be there for youth, to make relationship and beloved community. As we, as a congregation, we want to thank them and share with them our deepest gratitude for those efforts. First, I want to list off our RE committee with the chair, Carrie Harris, Matt Hank, Mindy Rieger, Megan Schwalbach, and Denise Victoria de Morelos. I'd like to especially thank our 4th, 5th grade OWL facilitators and assistants, Peter Discoli and Carrie Harris, facilitators, Becca Nelson and Jen Service, assistants. Our grade 8-9 OWL facilitators, Sheila Callender, Kate McKegney, Denise Victoria de Morelos, and Carl Winthrop Davies. And our other dedicated RE volunteers, Shelley Colvin, Rebecca Nixon, and Mark Weiler. Thank you.
Usually with volunteer recognition, we have people stand up, but we've got over half of our group is behind the glass of the screen, so we really won't do that today. But, you know, I'm going to forget to mention a bunch of people I know, but I especially want to thank those on the caring team. This is an invisible committee, basically, but they meet every month to reach out to those people who really can't come into our building anymore, but we keep touch with them, and thanks so much to the caring team. Also want to thank our greeters. We've got greeters every week. Kitchen crew, we haven't done it every Sunday, but every Sunday we needed it, we had you, and we thank you so much for that. The social justice teams, Active Voices, Climate Justice, Align at Minneapolis, UU the Vote, thanks a whole lot. And the biggest project for this past year was redesigning our website. Amy Dreher was the project manager, the usability expert, and information architect. And yes, I didn't know what any of that meant, but thanks, Amy, for being a professional and stepping up as a volunteer. We also want to thank Andre Gerard, who is developer and systems administrator, and Rebecca Chesson, content coordinator. Bob Adderhold was there as a consultant the whole time. We started this project June of last year, and it finally rolled out in February. It was a long process, but by doing it all volunteers, we saved well over $15,000 for the congregation. So we really, really want to thank you for doing that. Delaney Anderson joined along the way, and of course, Justice Bovey always was there for technical support to help us out. The other big project for the year was our FUS music director search. And, well, Cindy is here. Cindy, would you stand up? And is anyone else on the team? We got Cindy Picata, Phoebe Chastain, Beth Godis, Tom Hart, and Paul Redassel. So, as our search team. These guys spent hours on this project, and you will be amazed when you see the result. Our ongoing big project is, of course, our technology, which is new. I'll be talking more about that a little bit later. But thanks everybody who is doing this. This goes all the way from pulling wires through the kind of, not too pretty ceiling up there. It's a little scary. Everyone smoked in here in 1950 when they opened, and so this is just covered with nicotine up there. So you don't want to crawl up there. But no, Greg Mansfield has scrubbed all of the lighting of nicotine from a lot of years. So that's not a very it's a thankless job, I would have to say, but thanks, Greg Mansfield, and thanks to everybody who does all the stuff, all the way from pulling wires, all the way up to figuring out how all of this technology works. It's a big deal. We have already thanked our board and the board committees on our annual meeting, but I do want to say thanks to Buildings and Grounds, the aesthetics team, Moving Toward Equity team. All of these people spend hours and hours, and you don't see it. And it's amazing. Also, the people who lead our affinity groups, the Women's Awareness Group, knitting, men's support, crafts and hobbies, reading groups, outings, and our young adult group, and many more. Again, Seasonal Celebrations team, thanks so much for keeping our seasonal celebrations fun. Our Retreat to the Woods folks who figured out how to do it despite COVID. Yes, all of our special food preparation people, and all those people who planned and executed the Barb Brooks retirement party and Rev Jim's farewell celebration. We have a lot of people here doing a lot of things, and we really, really thank you so much. We are going to be hiring a membership coordinator toward the end of the summer, and part of that person's job will be volunteer coordinating and recognizing, because a lot of people have fallen through the cracks in the last couple of years. Thanks so much. And let's go on to our ask. We don't pass the basket just at this time. We're a little bit in between. You can volunteer to be an usher next year, though. It's available to you. I would be happy to sign you up. But thanks so much for all the time and the talent and the treasure. You have kept First Unitarian Society going and healthy during this very, very difficult time. And the easiest way to help us out is to go to our website, firstunitarian.org, click on the Give link at the upper right corner. You can also give on PayPal, the Vanco mobile app, and you can drop off a check. For you, those of you in the building today, we will have the kiosk out here in the hallway, and I definitely want to thank all of you for what you do for First Unitarian Society. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. There's a Taoist tale from Zhongzi, about 400 BCE or so. Once there was a frog that lived in a deep, narrow well. He had never seen anything else. One day, a sea turtle came upon the well and shouted down the deep, narrow hole, "Hello, anybody down there?" "Yes," said the frog. "Come on down for a visit and see the greatest body of water on earth." "What?" said the sea turtle. "Haven't you seen the ocean?" "Why would I want to?" shouted the frog. "Because," said the sea turtle, "you are mistaken. The ocean is much greater than your deep, narrow well. The ocean is so grand that drought never makes it lower and floods never raise it up." "Liar," shouted the frog, "go away." So the sea turtle went on her way, wondering at the depth of willful ignorance. End of story. Well, on this Sunday, when we celebrate our grads and our many volunteers, and all the people who make First Unitarian Society the place that it is, and again, I know I left a lot of people and groups out, but I think today is a good day to say, what next? Sure, your newly elected FUS board will soon be joining together to envision the future of FUS, and I'm confident that their vision will be far-reaching. Yet this is a democratically governed congregation we cannot forget, and the board and staff need to hear from you. Broadly speaking, all of us are working toward the same goal. Save the planet and all of its living things, Yeah, and it can look a little broad and difficult sometimes, yes. But as we work together, we are going in the same way. More narrowly speaking, our mission statement reads, quote, "As a congregational humanist community, we at First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis foster a free search for knowledge and meaning, strive for justice, and serve one another, the Twin Cities, and beyond." We list our values as compassion, integrity, equity, engagement, and, yes, connection. And our theme for June is celebrating blessings, and sure, celebrating blessings can be about listing off all kinds of personal good things. I like my car or whatever. But it can also be about realizing the unique gifts each of us has to share with our unique congregation. A few things to get you thinking today, because again, I'm inviting us all to think about this together. I've talked about some of the ideas of the French philosopher Gilles Deleuze before. Back in the 1980s, Deleuze created a term, anti-memory. Anti-memory, for Deleuze, is a way of conceptualizing how we combine memories of the past and anticipation of the future so that we can act in this moment, which of course we know is the only moment you can actually act. It's right now. How do we take experience? How do we take anticipation, put them together, and come up with just simply what do we do next? It's an anti-memory because were we to act in this moment in exactly the same way that we acted in the past, there would never be any new creative ideas. We would simply be living on memory. Rather, we must act in a way other than the way we acted in the past. That's why it's an anti-memory. Oddly enough, Deleuze coined the term, and he's been dead for some time now, but the term has been reinvented in the field of neuroscience. Nowadays, the term anti-memory is the cutting edge of neuroscience as a way of examining why most of the memories we create disappear. For example, what did you have for breakfast? Well, now, while you were having breakfast, I'm sure you were conscious of what you were doing, right? While you were eating, you knew you were eating, and had someone said, "What are you doing?" You would say, "I'm eating breakfast." No problem. Now, it's very easy there. But 3 weeks from now, can you remember that? Well, of course, or you can eat the same thing in exactly the same way every Sunday, in which case you don't need an anti-memory, right? But you get the idea. Neuroscientists have been asking, how is it that a conscious memory, which is a neural firing in the brain, how does that memory disappear? At the moment, some scientists are beginning to think that anti-memory is a property of the mammalian brain. A memory is a neural firing, and an anti-memory is also a neural firing that erases the other neural firing, or that's the theory anyway. And here's a quote. "So it seems that in humans as well as in animals, anti-memories are critical to prevent a potentially dangerous buildup of electrical excitation in the brain, something that could lead to epileptic-like brain states and seizures. It's thought anti-memories may also play an important role in stopping memories from spontaneously activating each other, which would lead to confusion and severely disordered thought processes." You don't want all your memories at once, that's for sure. Anti-memory. Philosopher Gilles Deleuze got there intuitively decades ago by thinking about the question, how do we go about doing something that we don't remember doing before? How do we manage doing a new thing? Now, yes, memory is part of that, no doubt, but so is anticipation of that future and realizing that this situation is not like that one. I'm going to do something else. Now, think for a moment as an example, the invention of the automobile. This is probably the easiest example. Early automobiles looked like, and were called, horseless carriages. The model, the memory, going into early automobiles was the buggy or the carriage pulled by horses. Part of the reason for that sameness was necessity. The technology for building automobiles was based on existing carriage making. Carriage makers were the ones who knew how to build an object light enough for people to get in and then be propelled around by internal combustion engines. General Motors products, for example, until the 1990s, had a little plate on the floorboard that many of you remember, Body by Fisher. The Fisher brothers were carriage makers in Detroit. Then they designed and built the car bodies for General Motors, and they're still around today. Another reason early cars look like carriages is that there were almost no paved roads when cars began to travel. Early automobiles had to negotiate roads built for horses, muddy, rutted, very few bridges. Therefore, they had to have the road clearance that buggies and wagons and carriages had. Or consider the simple tea kettle. Now, tea kettles were first designed to sit on coals in an actual fire, right? They were made of iron. Then they were used on ranges. They were made of steel or tin then, rather than iron, but they retained more or less their former shape. Now we have electric tea kettles. Now, there's no particular reason for electric tea kettles to look like tin tea kettles that look like iron tea kettles, but many do. Just look around. Though nowadays some have begun to look more like pitchers, if you've noticed, but pitchers were never heated in fireplaces or on range tops, so they don't look like tea kettles. What's up with that? Although some of us are old enough to remember stovetop aluminum coffee percolators, which have become a nostalgia item and a camping tool, right? But they look more like pictures, so who knows? We can watch this in real time in our own day. More and more cars are electric now, right? Electric cars do not need to be designed in the same way that internal combustion cars were. And we can watch these subtle shifts as it's going on in real time. At the moment, electric cars look more or less exactly like internal combustion engine cars. I suspect that someday these transitional electric cars will look really funny, and people are going to say, why in the heck did they make them look like that? You'll have the answer because you will be old. The answer is memory and an inability to imagine anything but memories. We just go on what we already had. The past is a template, and it's a good one. It's a reliable one. And it also leads us down some very, very wasteful paths. The next innovation in electric car design will be an anti-memory. It won't be remembering what internal combustion cars looked like any more than contemporary automobiles now resemble the carriages that pull the horses. They just don't look like that anymore. Well, and I want to apply those thoughts to what we're doing here today. And it's my question. As a congregation, we're moving from internal combustion to electric, as it were, analog to digital. What should the new FUS electric car look like? To find out, we're going to have to use anti-memory. Now, sure, some memories are good ones and are very appropriate for use in the future. We want to keep the good ones and throw out the old bad ones from the design. Gathering together, we like it. Singing together, we like it. Having food together, taking care of each other, having a bit of fun, listening to good music, all these things are things that we want to keep because they're the good things. Now, way back at the beginning of the concept of congregational humanism, FUS minister John Dietrich said this. He said, "The great word of humanism is that one word, together. In just the measure that we can find something of ourselves in all others and something of all others in ourselves, will we come to share the spirit of humanism," end quote. What needs to be our anti-memory? What needs to be blocked out from the past that we shared? How do we combine memory of the past and anticipation of the future to find the possibilities for where we go next in our congregation? For example, the pandemic forced our hand on the audio-visual equipment that we're using today. We'd been planning on something like this for several years, but the cost in the equipment and the staff to run it was just too high. But we had imagined it, and so when we actually needed it, we were quite ready to do that. But at this moment, the technology follows the memory of how we did our assemblies before COVID. Is that the right way to do it? I think we need to think about it. What needs to be an anti-memory? Have we merely put a motor on our buggy, and it's not going to work very well? It's a question that we have to ask about what we're doing next. What other opportunities are we missing after the long pandemic's time out of time? And so that's my invitation to all of us today. Let's live not in memory, but in the anti-memory imagined by Gilles Deleuze. What shape should the next teapot of our congregational humanism look like? The future is truly in your hands and in your imagination. Take it away, Cindy.
Please stand and join me in singing number 1021, Lean on Me, 1021 in the Teal Songbook.
Sometimes in our lives we all have pain,
you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride if I have things you need to borrow, for no one can fill those of your needs that you won't let show. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. If there is a load you have to bear that you can't carry, I'm right up the road. I'll share your load if you just call me. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. You just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on.
All right. Again, thanks to the band for being willing to put up with our rather simple music, but I can sing that one. All right. I mean, that's all I need to say about that. So thank y'all. Thank y'all. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. All of these we carry in our hearts and in our minds until we are together again. Thank you so much for joining us today and being part of the FUS community. Go out into the world, be fearless, ask questions, hold on to what is good. Strengthen the weak, comfort the fearful, serve the suffering, do what makes you come alive. Rejoice in the power of the human spirit. So may it be. Thank you all. Thank you. All right. Thanks so much, everybody. Yeah.